big moment for me. A lot of emotions involved with that. But to me, that just is a reminder to me of how real it is. When I get this emotional about it, that means that's how invested I am in this, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I'm ready to put the time in. The biggest question people ask me, are you ready for this? It's like, we said this back in the day. We refer back to Christy Martin, and I'm not going to say that was my hardest fight physically. But leading up to it was huge. It was a big mental thing for me. I had 12 fights. She had about 50. Been on the undercard of Mike Tyson, been on this cover of Sports Illustrated, and odds were that she was just going to knock me out. I mean, this wasn't even going to be a question. This wasn't even going to be a challenge for her. And one of the easiest fights in my career, physically. But so we refer back to that, just the mental state going into that fight, and just the support that I've had with everybody around me. I say the biggest thing for me is I took the fight, didn't I? Back then when people would say that, do you really think you can? I took the fight, didn't I? Do you think I'm going to walk in there and say, oh, I'm just here to, you know, see if maybe I'm going to get a lucky card and get a win just by luck, or I'm going to be here just to be part of it. I was saying today, I'm not there for a participation ribbon. I'm going in there with every intent to win. And with that being said, am I going to have to train very hard? Yes. Is it going to be a hard thing to do? Yes. Has she been unbeatable so far? Do I have to do everything right when the fight comes that night? Absolutely. Is it going to be the hardest test to date? Absolutely. So yes, all of that is true. Is it something that can't be done? No. This is very possible to be done, and I'm going in there with the win. And with that being said, the only way that I can get there is right here.
Holly, why is now the right time?
You know, this came as a surprise to me, but the reason why right now is the right time is because fighting is not this, obviously, it's not an easy job. There's a reason why there's only select people in this world that even want to do this. I mean, you have to kind of want to be in a very uncomfortable position all the time. Every day in training, I'm thinking, oh, you know, I hope I'm going to be doing my game plan right today, because you still, it's maybe not in front of this whole crowd of people, but you have your coaches watching you who've invested time into you, and you want to show them, I'm improving because of your help. Every day in practice, I'm nervous. That has never changed. But the reason why right now is the right time is because this is the challenge that's in front of me. That's why it's the right time. I never, from my first fight, sat back and said, you know what, let's map out my career. I'm going to be amateur for this long. I want to have this many fights before I turn pro, and when I turn pro, I'm going to take this fight and then after this many fights, and then my first title fight, and then after that, you know, maybe we can get a TV fight, and then after that, you know, maybe I'll be done with that, I'm going to go into MMA. I mean, I never would have thought I'd be here in an MMA setting, doing an MMA press conference for the biggest fight ever. Who would have thought that? Not me. But the reason why we are here is because I've taken one fight at a time. I've had good people looking out for me to help me with that path, because I just want to focus on the one fight at a time. I have coaches who help me with the game plan for that fight at a time, and along the way I'm learning everything. From each different fight is a different style, a different plan, but I'm still going to take everything I learned from that training camp and take it with me, and so it just keeps accumulating. So right now, this is the next challenge. And actually, Van Tate, a long time ago, one of big fights I had, he's like, you know, after this, or somebody else asked me, after this, what's next for you? And I said, you know, just one fight at a time. And Van actually said, he goes, you're just going to ride the wave. And that's exactly how I've felt forever. I'm going to ride the wave.
Hey Holly, could you talk about being considered like an underdog? You know, because she has all the hype in the pub and all that, and right away you got considered the underdog, but you've been there before.
I've been here before. And at the time, that was the biggest thing in my mind. And now this is the biggest thing. But those situations and those fights have helped me prepare to be able to be here and to deal with everything I need to do now. I think one of the biggest things is I could walk in here and feel defeated before I even get in there. But that's just not anything that's ever in my thoughts or in my vocabulary. I like being the underdog, and there is this, oh, there's nothing to lose, which I guess a lot of people do look at it that way. For me, there's a lot to lose because I want to win that badly. I have everything to lose. Even coming in as the underdog, personally, I feel like I have everything to lose. I don't really care what paper says or how other people look at it. This is definitely not something I'm walking in thinking, well, I have nothing to lose, let's just kind of, give it our best. That's not how I feel.
Can you describe why this was a surprise to you?
Well, I was set up to fight Sarah Kaufman, which is a teammate, a friend of mine, and it was a little uncomfortable. Her and I talked over the phone about it. She's the only person that I've ever trained with in the entire division. I thought, is this really the fight they have to make out of everybody that's on the roster? And they said, yes, this is it. Like, we called, and that, even after the call, like, is this really, I'm not going to say no. I will never say no to a fight. I have never said no. So that's definitely not what I was going to do. But if they would maybe just move some fight, like, if there was somebody else available for her and I, that would have been great. But I'm not going to say no to the fight. And I said, no, this is the fight. I said, okay. Same with her. Like, we both said it's the fight game. Like, this is what we're going to have to do, so let's just do it. And we even had that, actually, she talked with Mr. Wakeljohn, and I talked with him Monday. And then Tuesday night, Monday it was a go. We both 100% were taking the fight. We told the UFC it's 100% on. And then Tuesday night, really late, is when I got a call from Lenny, and they announced it that Friday. So, it went from, complete 180, so, which, you know what, great, I don't want to fight my teammate.
Who gave you the call from the UFC to let you know? They just called you up and said, hey, we're doing Rousey now?
Dana and Lorenzo had contacted Lenny.
So you got the call from Lenny then?
I got the call from Lenny.
How'd you feel in that moment?
This is pretty much how the phone call went. We talked about his golf game for a little bit, because that's normal when he's in Hawaii, so. And so we talked about the golf game for just a few seconds, It's not gonna be like, hello, hey Holly, you're fighting Ronda. So he got his hole in one. He did get a hole in one, so. And then he said, well, hey, you sitting down? I said, no, I'm standing. He goes, you might want to sit down. I said, oh, I think I'll stay standing. I'm a little worked up. He's like, it's not going to be Sarah anymore. It's going to be Ronda. And I got the chills, and I said, awesome, let's do it. Is this what we expected? No, but I'm excited. I honestly felt, I knew that this time would come. As long as I did well, this opportunity would come. And did I think it was going to happen now? No. But do I ever know who my next opponent's ever going to be? No. I never have a plan. So I always felt for this fight, though, that I would be a little more kind of like, a little overtaken and a little lots of anxiety. And I really just right away was excited. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, at least we can actually just get training for this, because that's all everybody's been asking me for the last year and a half anyway. So, well, actually, even since I came into MMA, that's all. Are you going to fight Ronda? Are you going to fight Ronda? Yep. Guess what, guys? January 2nd, it's going to go down. So, why wait?
Holly, when you break this fight down, you can look at it, and many believe, of course, you have the advantage in the stand-up game. Maybe Ronda has the advantage on the ground. But do you feel that people are underestimating your overall mixed martial arts game?
I think it goes both ways. I see the threat that she still has on her feet, and I know that she knows I'm not just, hoping to stay on my feet the whole time. She knows I'm going to be training hard. She knows I'm one of the bigger 135ers. I think she knows I'm going to be training hard. I think that one thing that has been one of my assets along the way is conditioning. I think that that's something that's known. I always want to get in there. I have this thing that I don't you can have all the skill in the world, but if you're tired, how are you going to use it? And so that's been one of my things. And I think a lot of times when people, even outside of interviews, if they ask what they think is kind of a, something that I have that's good, is some people will just say, she's conditioned too. And I feel like she knows I'm going to be conditioned. She knows I'm going to be working hard. She knows I'm going in. And there's a reason why she is where she's at. It's because she knows her opponents are coming with their A game. She knows they're coming with their best. So she's ready for it, and she trains very hard. And so I don't think that she's looking at me as, oh, I'm just hoping to stay on my feet. And I know that she knows I'm not just gonna, hope I get lucky if we go to the ground. I'm obviously gonna be working very hard, and the same goes from my side. I'm not gonna feel comfortable if we're just standing up. I know she's gonna be coming with punches. I know she's gonna be training on that. She's trying to make a well-rounded game for herself, as I am. She's obviously shown that that's even paid off to this point. She's done well, not just good. I think if I was her, I probably would have been getting really frustrated, a year and a half ago with everybody saying, oh, are you just going to be going for the honor? I would have been annoyed by that. Like, I am so much more of a fighter than that. And she's shown that. She's got stoppages, body shot and 2 headshots. Just stop the fight right there. So, her and I are not overlooking each other. I know that much. I know that she knows I'll be training.
How important is that first minute?
Just as important as the rest of the 24 minutes. Yes, she's going to be, maybe, I don't know. Maybe she's going to come straight in, maybe she's going to change her game plan. We're not sure. But one thing for me that I feel is the most important in the fight is to stay focused from round 1 to round 25, or to minute 25, to the end of the fight. If the fight ends early, it's great, but I'm always training for the full fight. I don't want to only feel like I'm going to stay focused and be on my toes for a minute. I want to be on my toes, and I want to be ready and prepared, focused for the whole fight. And I don't want to get through that and then think, oh, okay, now let's just kind of go with the flow. It's a constant offense, defense all the time. You want to throw, but you got to watch what they're doing. There's a lot going on mentally that's exhausting in a fight, not just physically.
Holly, I know you were on set recently with Misha Tate and Chris Cyborg, and Misha had thought she was going to get that title shot. Did you guys talk a little bit about that? And so what were the interactions like?
We did. We choreographed, her and I have a fight scene together. So I think going out, her and I both knew, like, this might be a little awkward at first. We're big change of events. It's announced Friday, and I'm meeting her Sunday morning to choreograph a fight scene. So is it going to be a little awkward? Absolutely, it was going to be this, but I know she's a professional, I'm a professional, and it was going to be fine. I wasn't worried about it. And after we did choreography the first morning after the fight, we talked about it. She's like, have you known about this for a long time? She's like, I know it's not your fault. And I said, you know what, and I'm bummed that you're out of the fight. You've had 2 great performances you're coming off of, and you were, said to be able to have that fight, and that's no intention of mine. And but she said, good luck with the fight, and I hope you do well. And I told her, I said, I hope she does well with whatever opportunity she's going to have next. And that was it. And then the rest of the time we just filmed.
Well, you talked about your endurance, but at what point does your team put together a game plan to make sure you...
Oh, we have a game plan starts now. And as far as really hyping up getting that, endurance and conditioning, I'm not even going to really get 100% into that yet. We're 4 months out. If I started that 100% right now, I'd peak way too soon. So game plan has already been happening. And actually, ironically, Monday night, before I heard about the fight Tuesday, we were just doing mitt work, and we thought, well, just for fun, let's just kind of, Ronda game plan, let's kind of, play around with this or that. And lo and behold, the next day we got the call just by coincidence. It wasn't even something, that's already been on my mindset.
Holly, how's the movie going, and is that something that you look forward to doing down the road?
It was fun. I'm doing a fight scene, and then I just have a confrontation with her at a bar after. And so it's not, you know, like I'm a lead role or anything like that. And it was really fun to do. I always love having a new experience, but the whole time I'm thinking, I really love my job and I want to get back and train. So I like being able to experience new things, but my focus is still just.
What's this week been like for you in terms of like the media, all the requests that you're doing, having TMZ come up to you, you know, trending on Twitter, that whole type of thing?
You know, no offense to everybody here, but I rarely watch the news. That's what you will do. If I'm on the internet, I am Googling home projects and woodworking projects and YouTube videos on how to. So I don't really see, I think I miss a lot of that. And my friends actually make jokes all the time. They text me and say, hey, did you know that you have a big announcement today? Or, hey, did you know? And they'll tell me stuff about me. And I'm like, and they go, I just love being able to tell you about your life. Like, you know, so, and I feel like that's a good balance for me. And I'm going to keep doing it that way because I don't want to lose sleep at night. You can wear yourself sick to where you're not even excited about the fight anymore. You can just wear yourself out every day, every thought, everything you do every day can be so consuming. You know, there's still, my dad has told me along the way, Holly, there's life. There is life. Don't miss. If I would have just shut everything out and never enjoyed anything else, that means half my life I would have missed out because I started at 16, you know, I'm 33. So, and I like that I have friends and family that help me to have a balance. So I feel like I haven't really been, you know, dug into too much of that. I haven't really let it affect my day at all. So I love that it's out there. It's just a reminder to me sometimes, like, wow, we've come this far and we're still not done. So it's a reminder for that.
You just talked about your family. What was their reaction when you told them that you're fighting Rousey?
My dad's exact words. With a lot of fights, actually, I never even call my friends and family. I figure they'll see it. I'm really bad about that. And but they know that's how I am because they know that our relationship is they always go, you're not Holly Holm, you're just Holly, you know, and I love that. And I did call my dad because I just wanted my, you know, that loyal. I've had some friends that have been at my very first amateur fight on the first street gym. Well, it was a little smoking my little weekends, but I called my dad and I was like, hey, he just got a new cordless phone for his house. He's like, can you hear me better? That old one was cracking. I said, actually I can, and that's really great because you need to be listening. I got some big news. And he was like, what's that? I said, we're set up to fight Ronda, and he goes, great, I'm just so excited. He goes, you know, destiny, we're not done. You're not done. Big things ahead.
Speaking of the home projects,
You and Ronda be doing a tour of the major cities to promote this fight?
You know, I'll be in Las Vegas this coming week. I'll be there for, I think they call it Go Big. The Go Big. It's going to be the title fights over the next 5 months that are to be to watch out for. I think they call it their Go Big project or plan. So I'll be there Tuesday, doing media all week, and I'll be there for John Dodson's fight Saturday night.
Yeah. I missed the person doing choreography with earlier in the speaking.
So Misha Tate and I do a fight scene for a movie called Fight Valley, and we just have one fight scene. I'm a professional fighter in the movie. She's kind of a street fighter wanting to be pro, and so it's kind of a scuffle in the ring, and it was really fun to do. Yeah, I had a good time.
What was your interaction with Cyborg like?
She was awesome.
Did you guys talk about the fight?
Yeah, we talked about the fight. She actually stood next to me, and you know, it's no big secret. Everybody always talks about her making weight. You know, can she make 135? That's like the big headline with the Cyborg and Ronda lines. But we took a picture together, which I knew she was probably like, you know, really sweet in person compared to like the, you know, image that everybody likes to say she has, like this tough girl. She kept telling us the whole time, I'm not a mean person. But, and I knew she would be really nice, but she's actually really funny and really personable. I had a really good time with her. We took a picture, and she looked in the picture, and she goes, "You're the same height as me. How tall are you?" I said, "I'm 5'8". She goes, "I'm 5'8". She goes, "There's hope I can do this." But she's you know, she's got a good, lighthearted personality about just everything, and you know, I want her to do well. She's a very strong girl, a very big girl, and I know that she's trying very hard. She really wants to come down to the division, but her and I'm telling you, the three of us actually had a really good time on set. We all went and ran Rocky steps together.
Holly, what's to say about this place that not only you fight for a title, John is fighting for a title, all these other fighters from this place are doing basically what you're doing? What do you say about this place?
Well, what I say about this place is something that I've believed from day one, is that this is where it's at. This is the best place to train. We have the best coaches in the world. I'm not going to say one of the best coaches in the world. We have the best coaches in the world here, and I'm 100% confident in that. And even back to when I was just boxing, I still said the same thing. This is an MMA gym. People say, "Where did you do your boxing?" Here. This is where I did my boxing. I think one of the only times I actually probably really went off, like with an interview, is when I was asked, "Have you ever thought about getting a real boxing coach?" Don't ever. I have the best coaches in the world, and with that comes the best training, which means the people that I'm training with are getting that coaching as well, which means I have the best sparring partners in the world. So yes, and you know what? From here, I wouldn't have the opportunities to be, you know, a lot of fighters are looking for a fight, begging for a fight. I didn't have to worry about that. Fresquez Productions right here, Lenny's been by my side the whole time, giving me opportunities the whole way through. So I knew it from the beginning, and I still know it, and I'll still say it. This is the best place to be.
Holly, could you talk about your journey? You touched on it a little bit earlier. Your journey, you know, as far as being an aerobics instructor, coming out, and you know, like from the first time, like the first story done with you, you didn't think it was going to lead to all this.
You know, it's been an unreal journey, and it's crazy. Every fight I have, I cannot sleep. I lay in bed and I just try and take it in. Like that just happened. I'm replaying everything in my head. Like, let's take this in. This is a moment to take in. I don't want to get to the end of it and be like, wow, that just blew by and I didn't feel any of it. I didn't experience any of it, which is also why I love this opportunity. I'm feeling it. There's nerves, absolutely. I'm feeling something that people don't get to feel in a normal day. I'm feeling that, and sometimes I don't want to have to deal with it because it's a lot to handle, but it's so worth it after a fight when you can just sit down and be like, wow, life is crazy.
Speaking of great coaches, Izzy over there, people in the MMA community, they know what he brings to the table, but can you talk about why you specifically brought him in for this fight, or have you been working with him before?
I have. I've worked with him, well, really my whole MMA career. You know, when I was kind of starting, I remember the first day what we were working on. Just on our knees side by side working on whizzers. I remember that to this day, and I was barely getting into it. I'll tell you something, and I could go on all day about Izzy, or Israel Martinez, but he has so much knowledge in his brain, and he knows how to, each fighter is different, and he realizes that. It's amazing to even go to his wrestling gym and see these kids that he works with, and numerous kids out of his school go off to major colleges with big scholarships. Thank you. I couldn't spit it out. And it's not like he's had that one that he could say made it big. it's every year he's got somebody coming out, and that's not by luck. That's not by just having this great once in a lifetime athlete that walked into his gym. That's because of him guiding them in the right way. And so with him having that knowledge and knowing how to, you know, every fight is different. You have to change game plan. You can't teach the same exact thing and plan for each fighter because everybody's different. Everybody has their own style. Different styles make different fights, and he knows how to take what's good for you. He knows how to study film and know how to, you know, shut down somebody else's game plan. I mean, you look at the big John Jones' last fight, I think, and this is just one example. I mean, I could go all day, but the big thing was like, oh, he's never been up against somebody that's as strong as DC. I mean, and then later on, there's a picture of John just putting his hand on DC's on the ground. You know, nobody even pictured that coming, and I'll tell you that that was this guy's wrestling. And on top of the fact that they were together, that's really my second point, is that he talks with Mr. Winklejohn about things that, you know, is this going to put him in a bad position striking-wise, and vice versa? If we want to do this striking, is this going to be a bad position? So there's a unity with that, and I feel like that is also just what makes the individual coaching. Greg is a mastermind on the ground when he teaches. I'm like, why doesn't my brain work like that? In his mind, he can just see how the body flows and how you can go into situations. And so from wrestling to the grappling to the wrestling, to the get-ups, to everything, they all work together so well. And how awesome is that for us? And lastly, his energy is just contagious, and I think everybody knows that. So that just makes somebody that knows all the knowledge even more fun to be around.
Anybody else?
After the fight with Rousey and Fresquez, there was so much drama, and it turned into this whole soap opera thing. We're going to get the complete opposite with you and Rousey, and maybe that's a breath of fresh air. You don't need to trash talk. She's probably not going to trash talk. Maybe some people think that's not going to help promote the fight, but maybe the fight sells itself. What are your thoughts on that?
For me personally, and I don't know, I think a lot of other people can, maybe they don't really look at it in the terms I'm putting it, but I think they feel this way without really looking too far into it. But to me, the fighter that's always been the more of someone to fear to me is that quiet, you know, quiet champion that's just going to come in with all the they don't have to say anything, and they're just going to walk in there and just show you how it's done. One of the most calm fighters I ever got in the ring with was Anne Sophie. She laid me out. I didn't overlook her. That was not why. I knew I was up against somebody tough. You know, and then going back into the rematch, same thing. She was very confident. One thing I loved about her too, she's very humble. You know, after the fight, she's like, "You're just too cocky. I couldn't." You know, she's one of those though that just says it how it is. Doesn't need to boast. But I'll tell you, she's a fighter to fear, and I think that people know that. You can only sell so many fights on trash talk, I believe, anyway. People want something else that is a breath of fresh air.
When you come into the cage with Ronda, are you going to think of yourself as an MMA #1 contender, a boxing champion, or kind of both? Do you have a championship mentality going into the fight from your boxing, or?
The way that I see myself when I get in there is I'm Holly, and I want to make my coaches proud. And that's how simple it is.
Have you spent a lot of time around Ronda?
You know, we fought on the same card, so we, you know, brushed by each other a couple times, you know, at media stuff and weigh-ins and whatnot. But and we it was, hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure we're gonna meet soon. And very cordial, very nice, and that was, you know, without anything really on the line. I know there's gonna be a little more energy when that's the actual person I'm facing. But I don't feel like there's going to be, I mean, the Betch fight was probably the most, I felt like I was watching a soap opera with her, you know, and I think, I actually feel like Ronda handled it really well. Yeah, she stood up for herself and spoke back, but she wasn't going to be one, but I feel like she handled it. Because dealing with I've had some like that, probably the most that posted like that took off during the co-main event of our fight. She talked the most, but yeah.
Holly, you know how you talked about home projects, kind of keep your mind balanced, keep yourself doing stuff. Are you still making furniture?
I am. My cat doesn't, well, I guess it went both ways. My husband doesn't favor cats, so promised to move cat walks outside. Now we're getting real, see? And so I cat box, if it's outside, it fills up with water. That was an issue, and the cat doesn't want to use it, so I built a dog house so that he can go wet-free from the dog door in there. And that's what I just finished, and it's actually worked awesome. I should patent.
I know you're kind of digesting everything, but has it, come to the realization in your mind, should you win this fight, hands down, you'll be dubbed the greatest fighter in New Mexico history?
And I'll still be wanting to prove myself. I will be honored for people to talk of me that way. Oh, it's just never finished. I've never gotten somewhere and felt like, oh, I've made it. Because if I actually felt that way, that would be the day I retire. I don't ever want to feel like, okay, so this is how I will never feel, to be clear. Ronda's cleared out the division, so if I beat Ronda, that means I can just beat everybody else. Like I said, styles make a difference. So I will be just as hungry to want to learn for whatever fight after this. It's just never done, And even when I'm done fighting, which is hard for me to even think about that because I just am not there yet. At that point, I'm going to be like, wow, I did a lot, but probably could have done better in this fight, and I probably could have done this here. I don't think I'll ever look back and be like, well, I just did it. I don't have that mentality in me, and I think that actually is what's kept me improving. A lot of fighters get stuck. They have a certain habit, and they get stuck in these bad habits. There's certain fighters that we've watched, and Miss Ronda tell me, she never changes this. And sure enough, we get in there. They don't change it. I don't want to be that person that just gets so stuck in a way that I'm not still rising. I want to constantly be like a sponge and learning and getting better and better and better. Because I'll tell you what, I still get punched in practice. I still get taken down in practice. And the day that I come in and that never happens, which will be never, is the day I guess I can say that. But I will be honored for anybody to feel as, I'm the greatest. But I know that I'm always having something to learn.
Holly, you've always been in great physical condition. How about this time around? Do you have to be in better condition than ever before?
Every fight, when we're working on a game plan, we're going to be doing that in practice, so I'm going to be conditioned for that. It goes along with the fight. I know Ronda works very hard. She'll be conditioned. She'll be ready to go. She's been to the Olympics. She's been in title fights. She didn't get there from kind of taking it half, putting only half-hearted. I know that she's obviously had to work very hard, so I expect her to be ready for 25 minutes of crazy, even though I know she has been able to finish fights early. I know she's still training hard. She's not only training for 30 seconds of a fight. So yeah, I need to be conditioned, but I don't want to get stuck running and miss what I'm doing here. I want to really work hard, taking the new things I need to learn, but I also want to keep things that have been good for me. I don't want to change anything to where I get to the fight and it's been out of my element. And I want to be conditioned, but with the training that we have, I'll be conditioned for this fight. She can take a split second of a mistake you make and turn it into victory for her, or turn it into a good position for her. And that is why I want to be focused 100% of the fight. She's very good at, oh my goodness, I'm here, and I'm going to roll with this. I might be in a bad position here, and she knows how to take that split second and make it into something that's going to work for her, or at least get out of a bad situation. So with all the actual exact techniques aside, I feel like she adapts very well to every situation, and that's what we need to be